Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Mubashir Ahmed, and today I have brought a totally different kind of program for you. We'll be talking about an issue that has been confusing the world for quite some time. We all know that death is a reality. It's not a myth, it's a fact. The only unknown thing in this fact is the timing of the death. When will it come? Different people in different cultures and different religions have been believing different things about the timing of the death. Some can predict it, they think. Some think we cannot predict it. Some think that it's going to happen like this. We as Muslims believe that there is a time and day that has been decreed by Allah. And this time will come whenever Allah has decreed. But will we ever know? I don't think so. No one has ever been able to know. When we look at time, time has been measured different ways in different cultures and different religions, in different organizations. We have been developing different kind of calendars across the centuries. If you look at the history, there have been so many different calendars developed. For example, the Western world has been using the solar system to measure the time, whereas the Muslim world has been using a lunar calendar to predict everything. One such calendar that has been making a lot of hype in this world is the Mayan calendar. Mayas were ancient people, very advanced in mathematics. They used to predict everything according to the planetary movement. They developed a lot of different calendars, but two of their calendars were very accurate. They still exist. One of them was the short cycle calendar, and one of them was the grand cycle calendar. This grand cycle calendar consisted of one grand cycle of 5,000 years. And one of this cycle is going to be ending on December 21st, 2012. And that's what has been causing a lot of confusion. What's going to happen when this calendar ends? Will it start again? Or this world is going to come to an end? Are we all going to die? Are we going to live? What, when, where, how? There have been so many confusions. There have been so many questions. So what we decided to do is that we will go around and we will talk to the people from different religions, different beliefs, different cultures, including the Mayas, and try to bring you some answers and see what people around the world are thinking about it. So stay with us, watch this program, and see what kind of answers we have brought for you. We live in this modern society where we have all kinds of luxuries available to us. But now we are talking about the Maya people, who were the ancient people. Who were these people? We need to find out about their culture, about their civilization, to find out the answers to our questions, what we have been wondering about. In order to do that, we decided to talk to a real Mayan person in Mexico, our friend Julio Cesar Cumon Sen in Chetumal, Mexico. Julio, welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you doing?
Thank you. I'm fine. How is Mexico?
I am fine, and here is everything is very good.
Thank you. Tell us about the Maya people. Tell us about your community. Tell us about your race.
All right, Mubashar, Mayan people nowadays live in three countries. Uh, they are Belize, Guatemala, and the southern of Mexico.
South of
Uh,
Mexico. Okay. The Yucatan Peninsula, you mean?
Actually, the Yucatan Peninsula, which is formed by three states. Uh, the state of Yucatan, the state of Quintana Roo, and the state of um, Campeche, and sometimes they add the state of Chiapas.
So you are in Chetumal. Chetumal is in the state of.
Chetumal is part of the state of Quintana Roo.
As we heard from Julio, that Mayan culture is a very ancient culture, and these people were settled in an area which is now called Belize, Guatemala, and southeastern part of Mexico, especially the Yucatan Peninsula. And these people lived in a very organized manner, and they built the big cities, such as so big that they were able to accommodate hundreds of thousands of people in these cities. So let's ask him, how ancient is civilization? So Julio, tell me, how old is Maya civilization? How many thousand years?
All right. Mayan civilization is very old. So um, it's we can say that it's actually uh, too many centuries before Christ, but actually it's scientists have been focused on the last few thousand years
Few
because
thousand
it
years.
says that
So,
it's the
so
it's the
your known history goes back a few thousand years.
yeah because it says that this is the main part of the history of Mayan culture because through this period of time they developed a lot of knowledge about what we know now.
So Julio told us that this civilization is thousands of years of old. To be exact, the known history goes back more than 3,000 years before Christ. So if we look at it from that point of view, they are probably older than the pharaohs of Egypt as well. So let's ask him why this civilization is so important.
Well, Mayan people are very skilled people, so we uh, we can see part of their buildings nowadays. Uh, all people know them like the ruins of the Mayan culture. So
Okay.
there are a lot of them uh, that are visited for a lot of people from all around the world. And actually, there are other ruins that are not discovered yet.
Oh, okay. There are a lot of buildings that are not discovered yet. So we
Yeah,
understand that Maya people were very advanced in mathematics. They were very advanced. They knew a lot about astrology. They looked at the planetary movement. Is it true?
yeah. Uh, like a lot of people know, um, uh, we have a calendar which is based on the moon and on um, the sun. So
It's based on moon and sun.
yeah, based on moon and sun. Yeah,
Okay,
but
okay, nice.
they use the movements of the moon and the sun to to decide when it's time to 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 plant a seed, for example.
Maya civilization is more important because of their culture, because of their legacy that they have left behind. What we can find now, what we are able to read, thanks to some historians for their hard work. For another reason why they were so important is because they were all centered into one block, which is now part of Yucatan and partly into Guatemala. These people were at the height of their civilization about 2,000 years ago. And a lot of buildings, a lot of cities, a lot of culture that we can see there is actually from that age.
Julio, tell me what kind of buildings Maya people used to build. Tell us about their architecture.
All right. They they had a lot of ruins, which were actually temples, uh, which were built to represent the moon or the sun sometimes, and actually to 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 represent maybe a calendar.
Also, all the buildings were also being built according to the sun and the moon movement.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So they
Give us an example. Tell us about a famous building.
all right. Um, there is one very famous called Chichen Itza,
Mm-hmm.
which, um, which is formed for four parts in it's kind of a square, so
Okay.
it has four parts.
Four
So it
sides.
yeah four
Okay.
sides. So
Okay.
each side has 91 stairs. So it makes 364 stairs.
Yeah.
And on the top there is a main stair which is added to the 364 days, which are equal to the 365 days of a year.
So that makes it 365 days. So that means the Maya calendar consisted of 365 days.
Yeah, that's it.
Very nice. So this one building contains the whole calendar in it.
Yeah. I guess that there is something to remember how to count the days during the year. Sorry.
So you were telling me something about equinox. What happens on the equinox?
All right. Given that there is something there in time during the equinox, uh, during the day, uh, during the movement of the sun, there is a spectacular movement on the with the shadows of the ruins added to an statue of the Kukulkan god, which form uh, um, an representation of the movement of the god Kukulkan.
Wow. So with the movement of the Earth, or with the position of the Sun, basically on equinox, the shadow of this little statue of Kukulkan that is at the bottom of this temple, on one equinox you can see it going up, and on the other equinox in fall you can see it going down.
Yeah, that's it.
It's very interesting. I mean, in such an ancient time, when we did not have such great measuring tools, for I would say, but Maya people were able to figure out this sun movement even at that time.
Yeah, that's correct because
Nice.
given that they were considered an advanced civilization.
Before we go into the details about what is going to happen on December 21st, 2012, we thought it would be a good idea to talk to these religions and bring you a little introduction of what these religions are all about. So we met all of them one by one.
सामान्यतया हिंदू धर्म का एक पूरा नाम या पुराना नाम ओरिजिनल नाम जो है वो है
The
सनातन।
full name or original name of Hindu religion is Sanatan Dharam. Its name is eternal law that works on truth about God, universe, and soul, that goes towards truth, towards mediation, and peace of soul. All of that comprises in its entirety the Hindu religion.
जो ज्ञान की तरफ जाता है, जो आनंद की तरफ जाता है, उसका नाम सनातन धर्म है।
Buddhism means the education, to the training to help us to live a better life. Buddhism is the way of life.
Christianity is a spiritual movement, the religious movement that's centered around Jesus of Nazareth. Is a Galilean Jew, lived about 2,000 years ago, believed by his followers to be the Hebrew Messiah, long waited for by people at that time. His death was followed by, his followers said, his resurrection, and that pointed them to believing that he was Son of God. And so in following Jesus, Christians are making a special connection to God through God's Son. There is a lot of variety as to what emphasis people put within Christianity, because it's a pretty broad religious movement, a pretty broad faith body. I think most people would agree that they connect to God through Jesus. For many, that would be through the resurrected Jesus, Jesus the Christ, the cosmic Christ. For others, it might be connecting to Jesus through the example of his life and the kind of things that he taught and said. And for most, I believe it's a combination. Within my denomination, within the United Church of Canada, a lot of emphasis on how we live our lives in this world is consistent with what we believe, that God calls us to be in this world through the example of Christ and who Christ calls us to be in this world.
Definition of Islam. It is found in the very meaning of the word Islam. The word Islam means peace, and it also means obedience, it also means submission. So Islam is a religion that teaches us submission to the will of Allah Ta'ala, which helps us gain inner and outer peace, a complete type of peace by forming a relationship with our Creator.
Mayans used to observe the planetary movement, and they used to use planetary movement to predict a lot of things, and their predictions were very accurate. It is interesting to note that even today the planetary observatories are built in exactly the same way as Mayans have been building. We'll show you a picture of one of the observatories from the city of Chichen Itza in Mexico, in Yucatan Peninsula. And this observatory looks exactly the same as Americans have been building in Arizona and other places. We can also connect this with the Hindu religion. Hindus have been doing this for a long time, even though it's not a part of the religion, but they use these planetary movements to predict everything in a person's life from birth to the day he dies.
सामान्यतया ये जो जिसको हम ज्योतिष कहते हैं या एस्ट्रोलॉजी कहते हैं, ये प्योर मैथ कैलकुलेशंस हैं और कुछ सिद्धांतों के आधार पर और
Knowledge of astrology is pure mathematical calculation based on the truth, and they are so accurate because you don't need faith or religion to believe in them. That is why astrology is not part of religion. Astrology is a science in itself, and it's tightly connected with mathematics. It cannot be said that anyone knowing astrology will be a religious person. It's a separate topic, so we can't even say that a religious leader would know astrology as well. It's a separate knowledge. It's a separate subject in Hindu religion or Sanatan Dharam. We consider Hindu religion a way of life, so it's just a part of that. Through the sketches, we read and try to determine the effect of planets on life.
उसके माध्यम से हम ग्रहों का प्रभाव प्रकृति के ऊपर कब क्या पड़ रहा है उसका हम आकलन करते हैं.
After hearing from Pandit Acharya that a planetary movement is very important, but astrology is not really part of the Hindu religion, but it's merely a mathematical calculation and a very accurate one. So that is the reason why they have been using it and they have been able to predict it. So we thought that we will go to a Buddhist and ask them what the Buddha people say about astrology and about the planetary movement.
The astrology is something you can believe, but that doesn't mean all the astronomy is correct. And you can use your insight and to reflect on how our daily life live to affect the world, to affect the planet. Because if we do not mindful on our daily consumption, we are the one who damage the world, who are the one who also damage the planet.
After talking to the Buddhist monk, we thought that we will go a little bit further into the history and talk to somebody who believes in a book from God, mainly the Christians. So we spoke to Reverend Blaine Gregg, who explained us about the planetary movement.
Other than sort of the gravity and the science of interstellar radiation, I don't get the sense within Christianity it's a widely held belief at all in any sort of what might be called astronomy, or the sense that the particular position of a particular star configuration or planet configuration at a particular time in a person's life, on their birth or on a particular day, says anything unique about what their life is going to be like compared to anyone else's. I don't get the sense within Christianity that there's a real strong movement anywhere that the movement of the stars predict our future, other than the patterns are noticeable and they can help us predict seasons and things like that, but not a sense that it's going to impact who we are as a person or change our destiny in any way.
We thought that we will go a little bit forward in the history and talk to a Muslim scholar and ask him what Islam says about the planetary movement and its effect on the life and the earth itself. So we spoke to Farhan Iqbal, who explained us. Farhan, as we know, the planets are moving around the sun, they are rotating in their orbits, and of course all these planets, all these heavenly bodies so-called, have a gravitational force, and they do put some effect on the earth, on the human beings. What is the Islamic point of view in that? Because Mayas, whose calendar is about to end and which is creating all this hype, they did everything according to the planetary movement. What is the Islamic belief in that?
Actually, I am not an expert, Mubashir, in this field, But I do know that all these planets that Allah Ta'ala has created and all these stars that Allah Ta'ala has created, they are controlled by His angels, according to the Islamic beliefs.
Okay.
And angels do have an effect on our lives when we build a relationship with the angels of Allah Ta'ala, of God the Almighty, then we can become more spiritual beings. So, as far as my understanding is concerned, the planets do not directly affect us, but there is a spiritual aspect in it that because these bodies are controlled by angels. I'll give you an example. For example, when Promised Messiah came, there was a very strong, very big meteor shower that occurred, which indicated the coming of a messenger from God. And a similar thing happened at the time of other prophets. Similar event happened at the times of other prophets as well. So we see that there is the skies give evidence of the coming of a messenger of God. And when the promised Messiah came, it was the year 1896, I believe, when there was this big meteor shower that indicated the coming of the promised Messiah. Meteor showers are common, but when a messenger from God comes, it happens at a much greater scale. So from the Islamic perspective, this is an indication that the cosmological movement of certain heavenly bodies indicate or have something to do with our spirituality.
As we heard from different scholars that the planetary movement does affect us. It affects us as well as the earth that we live on. Pandit Acharya explained that the sun is the most important part of our solar system, whereas the moon is supposed to be the mind and the heart. Moon does have a gravitational force that puts a lot of effect on us. We can see the tidal waves on the full moon nights. Our bodies are mainly made of the water. So definitely it puts a lot of effect on us as well. For example, there was a study conducted in India where they noticed that the crime rate significantly goes higher on the full moon nights. So this planetary movement where the equator of the Milky Way is going to be in line with sun, is it going to affect us to a level where it will kill the whole humanity? It may not be true, but it could be a basis for a big disaster. We do not know. Now that we know about the planetary movement and how it affects all of us, what kind of effect it puts on the planet Earth, we thought it might be a good idea to go back to these scholars and ask them how the life started, how it will end, what will happen after the life ends.
In Buddhist, living and death is very normal as a human life. Death is not the end. It's just another beginning. So that means the most important is when you live, how you live with peace, with joy, dwelling yourself in the present moment. And death is not the end, it will continue.
Well, about the beginning of life, we believe is the creator of everything. Allahu khaliqu kulla shayin. According to the Holy Quran, that Allah Ta'ala is the creator of everything. And this whole process of evolution took place with the design, with the will of Allah Ta'ala, and He's the one who controlled it. We don't believe that it was a random process. And about the end of life, we believe that everybody that dies will be resurrected and will be given a new spiritual body. And there will be a day of judgment where everybody will have to be answerable to their beliefs and to their deeds to Allah Ta'ala, for their beliefs and for their actions to Allah Ta'ala. And that resurrection will be a spiritual form of resurrection. We don't believe that it's going to be a physical form of resurrection.
That is a question that men have asked for thousands of years. Who am I? Where did I come from? Where am I going? We believe, based on the authority of the Scriptures, which is incredibly important to us, that God created. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And so then all of the Bible is His story, and it traces His plan for us right to the time of our death. Now, if we die as Christians, the Apostle Paul wrote and said that For me to live is Christ, to die is gain. And so if I die as one of his followers, then I go to be with him. He said, absent from the body, present with the Lord. And so that covers the death part.
सामान्यतया एक सिद्धांत भगवद गीता का है कि
A
जो
truthful
उत्पन्न
saying of
होता है इस
Bhagavad
संसार
Gita
में
is,
उसको जाना।
anyone who is
जो
born in
पैदा
this
होता है
world
उसकी
must
मृत्यु
go as
निश्चित है,
well.
और जो पैदा
One
नहीं
who is
होता
born
है
must
उसकी
die
किसी भी
someday,
समय
but
किसी
who
भी
is
तरीके
not
से
born
मृत्यु नहीं हो
could
सकती।
not die.
इस आधार पर
Our
हम
body
ये
is a
जानते
reflection
हैं
of the
कि जो
material
हमारा
universe
शरीर है,
that is
जो
made
कि
of
प्रकृति
nature
का
and was
अंश है, जो
born,
कि
so
नेचर
it
से बना
must
हुआ
go.
है, ये पैदा
This will
हुआ है,
die.
ये जाएगा,
The soul is
इसकी
neither
मृत्यु
born
होगी।
nor
लेकिन
will
जो
die.
आत्मा है,
That
जो
is our
soul है, जो
identity
self
and
है,
that is our
वो ना
shape.
तो कभी पैदा
What
हुई
we
है
call
और ना
death
ही कभी
means
मृत्यु
that what
है।
was
वो
visible
हमारी
before is no longer
व्यक्तिगत
visible.
पहचान है,
The
वही
soul
हमारा
never
ओरिजिनल
dies.
स्वरूप
It
है,
takes
जिसको
different
हम
bodily
मृत्यु कहते
forms.
हैं।
It
उसका
changes its
अर्थ है कि
shapes.
जो दिखाई दे रहा था वो न दिखाई दे, उसका नाम है मृत्यु।
This whole myth started with the Mayan calendar. So we thought, would it make sense if we went back to a Maya and asked them what did they think about it? Are they all getting ready to leave this world, or they believe in something different? So we went back to our friend Julio Cesar Cuman and asked him, what is the significance of this day in the Mayan calendar? Are they preparing for something? Are they thinking it's in the beginning of another millennium for them? Or they think that this world is going to end? What will happen? So here is what Julio told us.
So Julio, tell us about the long count calendar. What is this long count calendar? You told us about one calendar in that Chichen Itza building. Tell us about the second calendar, which is the long count calendar.
All right. Says that the Mayan long count calendar is a cycle of 3,114 years before Christ.
Before Christ. So
Yeah,
almost 5,000 years ago then.
yeah. Actually, that's the count now.
Okay.
So
So it is going
so
to end soon then?
so it is believed that this big cycle, is going to end on December 21st on 2012. I mean this year.
Hmm. So Mayas were so advanced even in that old age when they didn't have much to measure with, they still figure out some. What is the importance of this December 21st?
Well, like you said that Mayan people were very advanced. So uh, nowadays it's been said that the end of this cycle may may it is going to be the end of the world. But some people just think that it's actually this the end of one cycle and they start another big cycle.
So I was reading that the equator of the Milky Way is going to be in line with the sun. So do Maya people believe that this aligning of the equator of the Milky Way with the sun is going to destroy the world?
No, I guess that it's this a very important day that is the main of the calendar. So that day when the Milky Way lines with the sun is just the end of the cycle. So they have to do something very important with this day. So that is the end of the cycle, the big cycle.
So this is a Mayan long count calendar on the basis of what people are claiming that this world is going to end. So how this calendar works? Mayan started this calendar and counted a day from a set day in the history. Now, this calendar had a cycle which was called the Grand Cycle. This Grand Cycle consisted of 5,000 years. And modern historians have figured out that this particular day was on 3114 BC. According to that, this calendar is going to end on 21st of December 2012. Now people think Mayans were so advanced, their mathematical calculations were so advanced, they knew so much about it that they must have figured out that the world is going to end on this particular day. That's why they finished their calendar on this particular day. Another significance, what we just heard from Julio, is that on this particular day, the equator of the Milky Way is going to be in line with the sun. When this particular phenomena happens, just to tell you that this is going to happen only for the first time in 26,000 years. Definitely, as we know, that planetary objects put a lot of effect on this earth and on the people. So will this affect us? So we thought we will go back and ask the different religions and different beliefs what they thought about it.
Don't worry about the war be end. The shaking in your mind is the most important. The shaking of the earth, the shaking of the outside life is very normal. It depends on how we live. So just continue to live mindfully each day. So even tomorrow we die. It's very normal. But don't worry, the war will not end in this 2012. That's how something can be happen. But if we want to continue it longer, we have to, each of us can take the vow how to live, how to mindful consumption each day, so we can protect this planet, we can protect this environment. And if one day this war is end, totally, it's also very normal, because anything become together, is one day is have to depart.
इस बारे में हमारा जो व्यक्तिगत विचार है कि कोई विशेष परिवर्तन होने वाला नहीं है, ये उसी तरीके से जैसे कि 10 साल पहले 12
I don't think anything that big is going to happen on this particular day. It's just the same, like a few years ago we had the issue of Y2K come up, and the issue was that we were not able to advance the digit in the computer. So similarly, we designed something and now we can't advance it. However, many religions and many astrologers who studied it are all convinced that the period from 2005 until 2020 is not a good one for the planet Earth in general. We are in a downfall and not making much progress in anything. So in this period, a disaster can happen that could be quite deadly for us. I'm not saying it's going to be due to the Mayan calendar, but it's going to be a disaster, and mainly it will be due to human activity.
ये वास्तव में ये प्राकृतिक घटना घटने वाली है और जो कहीं भी किसी भी समय घट सकती है और उसमें ह्यूमन रोल ही ज्यादा होगा. जब सृष्टि जाती है,
This is really in the hands of God. Wind is created from the skies, wind spreads the fire, fire is controlled by the water, and water fertilizes the earth, and the earth produces all the living beings. And the cause of all of this cycle is the sun, so all of this energy comes from the sun. Turmoil starts with two basic elements, earth and water. When the earth starts getting corrupted, water starts to get polluted. These are the two basic elements to create things on this earth, and what we know is that slowly the qualities of the earth, its ingredients, its fertility declines, and the factor behind this decline is water level.
My sense from Christianity is that date on the calendar has no particular significance other than it happens to be the day of the solstice this year. I think solstice, the winter solstice, the sort of lowest point of the sun for the northern hemisphere, the end of fall, the beginning of winter time, the beginning of the longer days, and so and a lot of cultures have centered their festivals around those special days of when the first day of spring is, the first day of summer, first day of winter, and so even the Christian celebration of Christmas, which is coming up in just a few weeks, is held at that time of year because that was a convenient time for the Christians to celebrate, because it was around the time of the celebration of the shortest day of the year within the Roman calendar. But the fact that the Mayan calendar ends, my sense is most Christians don't say that as a prophecy or anything like that. In fact, the Christian story around God's recreation of the world, God, the end of the world, the apocalypse, so to speak, is that there is no sense that people can know the time or the place. Jesus' instructions were to his followers, just be ready and watchful, live your life well in every moment, so that it doesn't matter that you're preparing for a certain day because you're prepared every day.
We don't necessarily know the day when the end of the age will come. And certainly that time is coming when Jesus Christ will again set up his kingdom on the earth. After he has taken his children home, and when he has judged the earth for rejection of him, then he will come again. If you refer to the Matthew's Gospel, the 24th chapter, you will see that there is coming a time when the nations will be judged for their rejection of Jesus Christ. Not the rejection of anyone else, the rejection of him. And that time, known to us Christians, is the Great Tribulation period, a period of approximately 7 years after God's children have been taken home to heaven. And then after that 7-year period, then Christ will set up his kingdom for 1,000 years. And then after the 1,000-year reign, then the new heavens and the new earth where we'll spend eternity with him.
Yes, Mubashir, actually I had an opportunity to research the Aboriginal peoples of Canada 2-3 years ago, and I came across similar prophecies among the Iroquois of Canada, which is an Aboriginal tribe in southern Ontario. And it is interesting that they have this belief, although it wasn't about December 21, 2012 per se, it was more about something happening in 2011, 2012. And interestingly, we have seen the Arab Spring start up in 2011. So yeah, there are many prophecies, but in Islam, we don't have anything that is so specific about 2012. But this is the age that we live in, according to Islam, is known as the latter days, or
okay.
Yeah, the days that are closer to the day of judgment.
Okay.
So yeah, and there are many prophecies about the coming of the promised Messiah in this age in Islam. And as Ahmadi Muslims, we believe that that person has already come, and that is Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, peace be upon him, who came in Qadian, India, and claimed to be the promised Messiah in the year 1890. And so we are his followers. And he has explained some of these prophecies. And there are indications in the Quran, for example, that there might be a third world war. And because of the coming of the promised Messiah, there have been many disasters. We have seen 2 world wars already.
Yeah.
And this is a form of punishment for the rejection of the message of the promised Messiah.
But it's not necessary that God is definitely going to punish everybody who has not accepted the promised Messiah yet.
Yes, actually, I'm coming to
Might
that.
give us a second chance.
Yeah, so the God of Islam is portrayed as a being who is very lenient with his creation. He doesn't want to punish us. He doesn't look for reasons to punish us. He's very lenient, and we don't know whether that third world war happens or not.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that there are some indications.
Right.
So whenever there are indications of a punishment coming from Allah Ta'ala, it doesn't mean that it has to happen. Maybe certain situations change, and maybe some people become more moral, some people turn towards God, and so God sees that as a reason to be forgiving. The God of Islam he says, Rahmati wasiat kulla shayin, that his mercy, it encompasses everything. So it is possible that he totally forgives us, and nothing of that sort happens. But if the world that we live in today continues to defy God and turn away from God, like we are seeing today, and there continues to be so much immorality in the world, then God punishes, and at this point we are on that trend.
So there are 3 kinds of people in this world. One who think that nothing is going to happen on December 21st, 2012, and everything will go as it is happening today. Life is going on with its full colors. Then there are second kind of people who think the world is going to end totally. There will be no sun rising on December 22nd. Everything is going to be perishing. Then there are third kind of people who think that some disastrous thing might happen on this particular day, but the world is not going to come to an end. And when we talked about the religious scholars, none of them actually told us that the world is going to end. They all agreed with the third idea, that some disastrous thing might happen. So we thought that we will ask the Mayan people what they think about it. What are they doing? Are they getting ready to die? Are they getting ready to salvage themselves somehow? Or they are preparing for a new millennium to be started? So we asked Julio, and he told us.
So so Maya people are planning some big activities. They're planning, the celebrating of the new millennium, or what is going on in Yucatan Peninsula right now, where you live?
Well, I think that it's a very important day, but there is no a lot of preparation for this day. Not there is no afraid. There's no people afraid of that day. So, but some people think that we have to take care of that day, but uh, everyone decides what to believe.
Okay, so tell me one more thing. So, do people are some people preparing for some disaster? They are scared. They are not scared, are they?
No, no. You can see people doing something strange or preparing for the end of the world. We are living our lives like normal.
Okay, okay.
After talking to Julio, we figured out that he also believes that nothing like, terrible is going to happen. The world is not going to come to an end. And this is not something that he has heard from his ancestors or his forefathers. So we thought that it might make sense if we went to other people, normal people in Mexico streets, and we asked them what they think about it.
I understand you are a student in Mexico. What do you know about December 21st, 2012?
People normally don't think very seriously or worry about their future in Mexico, so not many are thinking about the Mayan predictions. However, some people do think that the world will end and civilization will be finished, but most don't think it will end.
Do you believe in the ending of the world on this date?
No, I don't believe it will finish, but I see it a bit differently.
Do you fear that something might happen, especially in Mexico, part of the land of the Maya, that may cause death and or damage on a widespread scale?
Yes, I believe there will be some disaster on a big scale.
How about your peers, your friends or classmates?
It is their personal opinion, but my parents think that the Mayan calendar will start once again. But some of my friends think that the world will end, and some think that we will have some big problems.
Are you, or Mexicans in general, preparing for some safety plan?
Not exactly, because I don't know what is going to happen. But we are collecting necessary survival items like water and food. No, only God knows for sure. God knows about these two, date and time when this is going to happen. Everything is going to end at its time, but only God knows when this is happening. I don't believe the world is going to end. It's just our Mayan calendar that is going to finish. That's what I believe. I don't need to emphasize further that the world is not going to end. As far as my parents and friends are concerned, they do not believe in this either. It is just like 2013 is going to start after 2012. It is better for us to believe that it is not going to end.
Dear viewers, we have spoken to the religious scholars, we have spoken to the Maya people, and we also spoke to the people on the streets. However, we did not find any evidence that suggests that this world is going to be ending on December 21st, 2012. However, this planetary movement that is happening on this particular day is something that has not happened in 26,000 years. And all the religious scholars agree on the fact that these movements do put some effect on our lives. What is going to happen on this particular day? There is no way to find out. There is no one who can predict the future with such certainty. All we can do is hope for good, and we pray to God Almighty that He keeps us all safe and the life will continue as it is today, and the sun will be rising on December 22nd.